Okay, so there's a lot to do here. So this sums up a whole, pretty much a whole lecture. Let's go ahead. Again, let's read the question. This is from unit 3.5, and the question is 17. For the homework, I believe you're doing 18.
Yes.
Okay, and
Yes.
that's right. What am I doing? And this is not from the ebook, it's from the physical book, which is the older version of the ebook. So for the people who are using the ebook, you may not match, but it's kind of a similar question to the ones of the ebook. All right, so write an equation of the line passing through the given pair of points, meaning this point and that one. You give the final answer in slope-intercept form, that's important, and also standard form. Okay, so the main thing is to write an equation. So from what we've seen before, we were actually given equations the whole time. For example, something like this. Okay, we were given something like this the whole time, and we used it either to graph or find the slope or do other things. We solve systems, linear systems, but today we're gonna have to write our own equation. So this is not given. So let's go back. We're gonna have to come up or make our equation based on the information given. We only have two points, and that's it. And we're going to end up with, we'll have to write some equation in this standard form, something like this. Okay, we'll find some specific numbers. This is the standard form, and this is the slope form is this, the slope-intercept form. Does anybody know what the slope-intercept form is? Starts with y.
Y equals mx plus b.
Exactly. That's what we call the slope-intercept form. Why do we call it so? Because this is a slope. And this is the y-intercept. We talked about the y-intercept last time. Intercept. And again, this is standard. Okay, so two equations. So we're gonna have to write the equation using the 2 points. This is the same equation, you're just gonna write it into different forms. One of them is the standard, the other one is the y-mx plus b, which is called the slope-intercept, the y-intercept. Okay, so let's see how to write the equation. So to do so, each equation must have an m and b, the slope and intercept. If you have them, you can simply plug them here, substitute, and you have your equations ready. For example, if I give you m2 and I give you b, maybe 5, all you have to do to find the equation is take these two and plug them into the equation, replace the m, replace the b, and that's it, you have your equation. And unfortunately, we don't have any of these two. We're gonna have to find them based on the information given, which is these only coordinates, these only 2 points with their coordinates. So we don't have this, so we're gonna have to come up with our own. We're gonna have to make them based on this. So first thing you want, when you make write the equation of a linear equation, first thing you need is the slope, the m, or the slope. You say, do you have it? If you have it, that's good. If not, you'll have to find it. Do we have the slope based on the information here? Do we have m? Do you see it here in the problem?
No, there's no m.
We do not have it, right? But we should have enough information to find it. Since we don't know it, but we have these 2 points, we're gonna need something called the slope formula. What is the slope formula? This one has a slope, has a formula of the slope. What is it? It's the formula that we're gonna use to find the slope of the line passing through these 2 points. Can anybody give us that formula before I write it down? It's something minus something over something times something.
Yeah, x minus x1
Okay. Is it, or is
Oh,
it,
the first is y minus y
okay.
1 n equals m and parenthesis
Uh, uh,
x minus x1 and
X2
close the
minus
parenthesis.
X1.
okay, very good. So first, that's the formula which comes from here, comes from the slope formula. So the equation you just gave me is what you get when you cross multiply these two. When you cross multiply, you get the slope-intercept form. Okay, but before we use the slope-intercept form, we need to find the slope itself. Okay, so let's find the slope. Where do we get these values?
From the 410 and 612. You just gotta put the Y, the Y2 is the 10 and the Y, no. The Y2 is the 12 and the Y1 is the 10.
That's right. So the points that are given are useful because we're going to need them to substitute these values to find m. So the first one, let's call this x1, y1, and the other one, 6 and 10. Okay, we're going to call these, that's the first point, x1, y1. And the second point is x2, y2. So all these values will be substituted here. Once we do that, we can find our m. So this is again standard form. This is the YMX form, or the slope-intercept form. Another word for this is slope-intercept. Okay, why? Because it has a slope and intercept. And the third one, so that's 1, 2. The third one is the slope-intercept form, which basically comes from here. If you cross multiply these two, you get the slope form. So let's start with the multiplication of, think of this as m over 1 here. So if you multiply 1, if you make this a fraction, and you times these two this way, so you get what we call the slope-intercept form, and then we're going to multiply the other way to get the slope-intercept form, which we need. So the standard form is this one, okay? And the slope-intercept form is this one after we cross-multiply. So 1 times y2 minus y1.
Professor, do you mind putting it down so we could see the bottom portion?
Sure, what can't you see?
I can only see m equals y2 minus y1.
That's right. You don't see x2 minus x1? Maybe you should try to, you know,
I see it now.
bring
Sorry.
your page up. Try to drag your page up a little bit. Do you see it now?
I see it now. Sorry.
Okay. So, okay, so standard slope-intercept form. And if we cross multiply this, we're going to end up with slope-intercept form. So y2 minus y1 equals what? The other multiplication. We multiplied these two here. Let's make this, looks like a minus. All right, and m times x2 minus x1. M, so x2 minus x1. Okay, we have three formulas again. Let me highlight those. Standard form is here. The slope-intercept form. And this is what we call this is the slope-intercept form. And this is what we're going to use to write the line. Basically, this comes from here. This comes from this slope formula simply by cross multiplying it. All right, so let's see how to use these. So we can't use this one yet. You have to find the slope. We needed 2 points, which are here. Now let's plug these points and find the value. So what is y2? We're going to get all of these from here. So y2 is 10 minus what?
minus 4.
That's right, minus y1, which is here. Let me actually make this, extend this board first. Let me put it over here. So this, so y2 is here 10, minus y1,
Minus 4.
which is 10, which is
4.
it's actually 10. Hold on, this is 4, this is 12. 4, 10, 6, 12, okay? 4, 10, 6, 12. You got all points mixed up. Okay, again, so we have 2 points here. That's x1, y1, x2, y2. So the first one is 1, first 2 is 2. So we want to label them first so we can easily plug them into the equation. Now, I'm just going to take each one of these and plug it into this. What is y2 again?
12, you said? Yeah.
That's right, 6, 12, 4, 10. So y2
Yeah.
is 12 minus
Minus 10.
minus y1, that's right, y1 is here is 10, over
10
x2
over
is,
x2 6.
that's right, 6 minus 4, so 12
Minus 4.
6
Yeah,
minus
6
4.
minus 4.
Then simplify this to get your
Okay,
the
2
slope,
and 2.
which is
1.
1. That's the first step. You want to find the m, or the slope. M is 1. That's useful.
1.
So the m now will go here. So because it says write it in slope intercept form, so we're going to have to use this formula to find the equation in the slope intercept form. This is slope intercept form. We're going to have to use this. Once we simplify this, it will take us back to this, which we call the slope intercept form. That's the first step, finding m. Okay, so now we can go ahead and use our formula. There's so many windows here. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and let's write the slope intercept form again. So it's y2 minus y1 and m times x2 minus x1. The actual name of this formula actually point slope. It's called the point slope. Why do we call it point slope? Because it simply requires the slope and a point.
Yeah.
So we need the slope, which we know. What's the slope again? So the slope m is 1, and a point. One of these points, we actually have 2, but let's use one of them. For example, the first one here. Okay, either one of these. Well, let's use the first one, x1, y1. So 4 and 10. What did we call those points again? x1, y1. So this equation requires y1, requires m, requires x1. All of those are here. All we have to do is plug them into the equation like so. So the m will go here, the x1 will go here, and the y will go here. Not exactly there. The y will go into the y1.
Mhm.
You don't want to substitute y2 and x2. Those will stay. So these don't substitute. They will stay. And later, we're just going to call them x and y, just like here. Each equation has x and y, sometimes just y or sometimes just x, but most of the time you'll see both x and y. Okay, so let's substitute and see what we get. So now we can just turn this y2, just call it y, minus, what's y1?
10.
10, that's right, equals, and the m is,
1.
that's right, and again, you don't want to substitute y2 and x2. We need those for the equation. We can just call them now. We can just call them y and x because we're no longer going to have y1 and x1. What's x1?
Yeah. And minus 4.
Minus 4. That's basically the equation, okay? We found it using the slope, the point slope. So we need to write this in slope-intercept form, meaning in this form. We just need to simplify this a little bit, and it will turn into the slope-intercept form, which starts with the y. The y must be by itself on one side and the rest on the other side, okay? So how do you do that? How do you turn this into this? Means we need to get the y by itself, right? So what do you think we do on this equation to turn it?
Do you do the parentheses first and then you move it over the 10?
That's right. So that's right. So we want to get rid of the 10 by adding 10, but before that, we need to simplify this side. We need to clear the parentheses by distributing. So we're going to multiply here. Will be itself because 1 times anything is
It's
itself.
x minus 4.
Okay, and this we have y minus 10. And again, the slope-intercept form is y by itself and the rest is on the other side. We want to isolate the y. We want to solve for the y. So we're going to get rid of the negative 10 simply by moving it to the other side or adding 10 to both sides. So these cancel. Y will be
X minus 6.
not minus 6, but
Or plus 6, I'm sorry.
plus 6.
Yeah,
X
'cause
pi
the 10
on
is
the
a
unknown
plus, yes.
plus 6. That's it. Does it look now in standard form?
No.
I mean in y, does it look in slope-intercept form? Okay, so they'll have the y by itself. We have the m, which is 1, invisible 1, which we found earlier here. That's the slope, okay? M and x plus b. What's the y-intercept in this equation?
6.
Exactly, the y-intercept is 6 because the b here is what we called earlier the y-intercept. That's the first part, slope-intercept form. What's the next part?
The standard form.
Standard form, which is basically this. What do you notice about the standard form? How do you make this equation into the standard
Just
form?
flip it around.
Okay, what exactly?
X plus 6 equals y, right? No, wait.
Okay, as you can see, we have the x and y on one side.
X
right?
plus y equals 6.
X plus y equals 6, close. So basically, we just want to move the x over, right? Want to move the x over, so we can have x and y on one side, and the number, the c, which is 6 by itself. So we want to move this over, so let's write it again. So let's say, so this was, now we're going to do a standard form. Standard form. So we're going to take this slope-intercept form. As you can see, the standard form, both x and y must be on the same side, and the number or the constant by itself on the other side. So simply move the x over, so the y stays here. What happens to the x if you move it to the other side with the equal sign?
It's minus?
That's right, the positive here, the invisible positive turns into a minus, which is basically a positive 1, because the slope here is a positive 1. Slope m, and negative x, and 6. That's it. That's the standard form. What's A and B and C? So the standard form must have A, B, and C. What are those from this equation here?
A, B, and C.
What is A?
Y,
Y is A.
Y,
X is B, and
Y
and
No.
B,
No, the A is next to the X. What number is, what's the coefficient of X?
1,
Not 1, but negative.
negative 1,
That's right, negative 1. What is B, or the coefficient of Y?
positive 1,
Positive 1. So there's an invisible 1 here. And C, of course, is
6.
6. That's right. So that's C. This is A, and this is B. It doesn't matter the order of these. You can also say And also, if you want to start with the x, that's not a problem. So we can shift these or shuffle these around. You can put the x first, the negative x first. Okay, and followed it by the y, positive y is 6. These are the same, or we say they're equivalent. This is a symbol for equivalent, a double-headed arrow. Okay, so it's the same thing, we just changed the position. Basically, that's what we call the commutative property. When you have 2 plus 3 is the same as 3 plus 2. Okay, the commutative property. That's what we did here. Doesn't matter if the x or the y goes first, it's still the same thing. Okay, so that's basically what answers the question. So we wrote the equation. We only had this information, the coordinates of 2 points, and that's it. We didn't have m, we didn't have b, and we wrote the equation in two forms: the slope-intercept form, which is this, and then we took that and turned it into standard form. Okay, so that's how you write your equation based on nothing but the coordinates of 2 points. So what we call the slope form or formula. Okay, so the slope formula is used to find the slope when you have 2 points. For any 2 points from a line, you can use those, just label them x1, y1, x2, y2, plug those into the formula to find the slope, and then you can use the slope for whatever, for anything you want to use it for. Someone is messing with my board. Who is it?
Oh
Sorry,
my God.
by mistake.
A mistake, right?
Yeah, I just did it like that.
At least you didn't.
No, I'm sorry, it's
The
not my
mistake
fault. I
out.
tried. I think so. It's not driving in your screen.
It's all right. At least you
So
didn't
you
draw.
crossed it out?
You didn't draw anything bad, or someone else did before. You don't want to
No,
make
no,
any.
no, 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 no.
It's all right. All right.
I
Click.
didn't know it's driving your
Yeah.
screen. I just
It's all right. So we're
touched it
gonna
in
get
the screen.
disconnected. We're about to get disconnected. Please rejoin if we do. Okay. And just click undo to erase this. Whoever did it, was it Migranes?
Hold on. I don't know how to
See
erase
that?
it.
Yeah,
That's it.
I
It's
got
done.
it.
Very good.
Yeah, I got it.
All right.